Hello, 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 Christmas Flixers. Welcome back to season 4 of Chicks on Christmas Flicks, where we can never have too many Christmas movies. We can only have not enough Christmas movies. I'm KL Brady, and I'm so excited to be back with you guys today. I know I said I was gonna run the show yesterday, but I ran into old people problems. So I was unable to record yesterday. I'm still in my holiday break. I'll talk about my old people problems in a second, but I'm still on my holiday break. Hallelujah. I sure needed it. I was so exhausted. I didn't even know. I was running on empty and had no clue. You just run. When you have things to get done, you just get them done. I think moms do this. We've just kind of inherently learned to run on empty, and we don't take time to rest or kind of refill ourselves or kind of rejuvenate or whatever, and we'll just literally run until we either run ourselves to the point where we can't, we're paralyzed in the bed, we can't get up, or we end up in the hospital or we're sick or something, and we have to stop. Fortunately, I didn't get sick or anything. I just quit. My body just said no. I could not get out of bed to save my life. It was not for lack of trying. I couldn't do anything. Normally I'm off. I write. I couldn't write. I couldn't do anything. I remember in the summer when I had the flu, I felt like that, where you just can't get up. Except for then, I had the head cold and the whole thing. This time, no cold, no nothing. I just couldn't get up. I was exhausted. I was really, really tired. I've just been resting. I got a new mattress topper because one day I got out of bed. I felt like I was 90 years old. I couldn't walk. My hip hurt. My back hurt. Everything was hurting. I'm just there's got to be something wrong. And I realized, it was the mattress topper I had on my bed. So I switched that. I bought a new one. It took a couple days to get here, but it got here a whole day early, and I put that on my bed, and wonders never cease. I slept like a baby last night. I slept the whole night, and I didn't wake up with any pain, except for a little residual pain from my shoulder, but it's getting better. I could actually move my neck and turn my head today. That was kind of wonderful. So, and then I'm swimming, and then after I get off of finish doing the show today, I'm going to get back to writing. Hopefully get on Clubhouse, find my tribe, and get back to writing today. I'm really excited to get back to the movies today. We're rolling in. Well, it's really kind of the end of Christmas season. It's happy belated, merry belated Christmas. Because Christmas is over 2 days. It was Monday, today's Wednesday. And so, the regular Christmas movie season is pretty much over, pretty much ended on the 24th. But there is so much stuff that I didn't watch, so much on demand that I need to catch up on, so much on streamers that I didn't catch up on. So where I thought next week would be kind of my season wrap up, actually I think I'm going to do another regular show to kind of wrap up all these little movies that I haven't seen on streaming, and Paramount Plus, BET. I've had so many. Paramount Plus, BET Plus, Netflix, a couple movies, HM Now, there's a couple movies there, brand new movies that I didn't watch this season. Own Network On Demand has a bunch of movies that I didn't see. I'm going to check TV One. I'm going to check everything to see what I didn't see, and that's how I'm going to fill my next few days. Next week I'll return to the 9 to 5. I'm not looking forward to that, only because I feel like it took me a week just to get rested enough, right? Now I have energy, and I'm trying to get all this stuff done, and I don't know if I'm going to get it done, but anyway. So this week is going to be a catch-up week for me. So next week I'm going to do another regular show, probably Monday afternoon. I'll do a regular show, and then maybe the week after that I will do my top 15 for the year. I normally do this with Hallmark 247, right, Brittany, but this year has just been insane. The hours that I have found to like do the show are just these weird off hours that I'm like squeezing an hour in here and there, and like nobody should have to put up with that schedule. And it's gonna kind of be the same with the top 15 show, because by then I'll be back to work, and I really want to watch these movies to make sure that the top 15 are really the ones that I want to pick for the top 15, because there could be some of the movies that I watched this week that I want to add to my top 15 list. So I'm not going to wrap up my list quite yet, but I'm like I said, I'm really excited to get that show under my belt. I'm also going to next season try to get a couple of interviews with a couple of screenwriters, at least, maybe more, who knows. I may try for more and see if the door gets shut in my face, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And so I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully those interviews will run through the years, keeping up. Hallmark said it's got its entire new slate picked out for 2024. So I'm excited to, track what Hallmark is doing, as well as the rest of the streamers and stuff are doing. I have some news today that it was kind of surprising to me, but anyway, around Christmas movie season and all that kind of stuff. So honestly, there's so much more to come. Last week on the slate, we had To All a Good Night, Magic and Mistletoe Match, Christmas on Cherry Lane, A Cowboy Christmas Romance, Yes Chef Christmas. I had a Christmas Turkey last week. This week I'm doing Sealed with a List. I'm going to do Round and Round, Merry Magic Christmas, The Holiday Proposal Plan with Tatiana Ali from The Fresh Prince, A Christmas Intern, which had two Christmas movie powerhouses, Jackie A. Harry and Vivica A. Fox, Heaven Down Here, and just quite a few more that I wanted to get through. So I'm excited. After my top 15 show for the year, I'm going to do maybe my top 25 Christmas classics movie list of movies that I consider to be TV Christmas movie classics. And I think I'm not just going to restrict that to Hallmark, but it's going to be any channel, any streamer, Christmas movie classics, top 25 in order of importance. And that's going to be a very difficult list. And I got to tell you, there's a hunk of them that come from Hallmark just because I've been watching Hallmark for so long. So anyway, that is what is to come. Later on in this episode, of course, we've got Christmas turkeys. I've got 2 Christmas turkeys this week. I thought I was going to struggle to get one. This week I got 2. Woo! Wait till I tell you guys about this. And then we've got some hot or not chick picks to go along. So quite a bit to go in this episode. But as always, first things first, St. Nick shout outs. I love to begin the show with the tradition. Today, I'm going to do a full-length St. Nick shout out because, I've had a few weeks in there probably where I didn't do any. And even though the show's kind of going to be long, we're at the end of the season, and I'm going to squeeze it in anyway. So there you have it. I picked 5 listener locations. And remember, I don't know who you are, but I know where you live. So, number 1 for the listener locations is Evergreen Park, Illinois. Evergreen Park, Illinois. Thank you so much for joining the show. In terms of the Christmas in your neighborhood, but there were a couple of really good traditions that I saw in Evergreen Park. One is they have a heartwarming celebration of a Dickens Christmas in Evergreen Park, And then they have, of course, an annual tree lighting ceremony. Like, I feel like every town is going to have like their annual tree lighting ceremony. But the annual tree lighting ceremony took place in Kleiner Park with its enchanting glow. And then they have donations to the village pantry, the youth department's annual coat drive, and of course Toys for Tots. So thank you for joining Evergreen Park. So happy to see you guys listening into the show. The next one on the list is Taos, New Mexico. Taos, New Mexico. They have they celebrate what's called Yuletide in Taos. And it's unique, all the unique New Mexican celebrations that happen through the holiday season. So, they put all of their celebrations in kind of one big basket. So one thing they do, so I'm going to list a few of the things that they do. One they do is this holiday pop-up store called Taos Folks. It's popping up, and they have the Twirl and Play Discovery Space, which hosts their free annual Twirl a Glow party. The courtyard at Twirl, which is a place, was filled with sparkling lights and twinkling surprises. You know how crazy I am about some lights. The Taos Milagro Rotary Club participates in the Town of Taos holiday event by hosting the Festival of Trees, which features 26 trees decorated by sponsors and businesses, 15 decorated wreaths, and many gifts baskets and donor gift items. I don't know if you guys realize this, but it's kind of one of those, it sounds like one of those bucket list places that you have to go to, and you just kind of gotta enjoy like all the Christmas Yuletide stuff. The next thing they have is the historic narrow Lido Street glows with lights from farolitos, luminarias, and bonfires. Galleries, shops, and museums are open late, offering holiday food and drink. Now, hello. Red River showcases parades, fireworks throughout November and December. And for the new year, they bring in the 2024 New Year with Taos Sky Valley's Torchlight Parade, fireworks display, prime rib buffet, and third annual snowball. Now that sounds like a whole lot of fun. Thank you for joining Taos, New Mexico. I am so thankful for you guys, and it's really great to learn about the traditions there. That I think is going to hit my bucket list. Maybe that's another show I'll do. It's based on all these St. Nick shout-outs, like where's my bucket list items, places to go, and then actually going to those places. That's next. Number 3 on my list is Meridian, Idaho. Meridian, Idaho. Thank you so much, Meridian, Idaho, for joining the show. So, a few Christmas traditions from Meridian. They have the Christmas in Meridian Winter Lights Parade. The parade goes through Old Town Meridian to usher in the start of the holiday season. Santa joins this parade and brings magic to light the city. And they have the Christmas tree that shines through the entire season. Then they have The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, which is a performance on the main stage at Idaho and Main Street. And you can grab dinner or hot cocoa in the food court. And then they have a downtown decorating contest. And that if you decorate, you can put on a map, and then voting happens, right? So you can vote for your favorite business. That hits the highlights for Meridian. So thank you for joining the show. Okay, and then number 4 on the show is Prior Lake, Minnesota. Prior Lake, Minnesota. So in Prior Lake, Minnesota, it's just a couple high-level things that I wanted to talk about. This was kind of a fun journey, but they have the December Dazzle, which is held the first Friday in December at the Lakefront Park. And so what they have there is basically, Santa comes in, does photos with the kids. They have ice carving demonstrations, a giant bonfire, and then a fireworks show. Isn't that awesome? And then they have the Fire Relief Association that sells pizza, water, and hot cocoa. And they collect toys and winter gear for the community. And guess what? At Prior Lake, Minnesota, they have a polar plunge. Now, I don't know if this happens during the holidays or after the holidays. I really didn't see a date. I just saw the activity, but I gotta think it's gotta be sometime in the winter because it's a polar plunge, right? This Prior Lake plunge has raised a lot of money. So in its 12-year history, it's raised $1.6 million, and then in 2020, 689 plungers raised $194,000. So and the money goes to the Special Olympics. So I don't know if it's happened yet or if it's going to happen, but if it hasn't happened yet and it's going to happen, please support the Polar Plunge at Prior Lake in Minnesota. All right. That was number 4. Number 5 is Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. I was shocked to see this location on my list. Do they have Hallmark in Vietnam? I guess. And you can certainly stream anything from Vietnam, so I'm guessing so. But that was my thoughts. Where do they watch Christmas movies in Vietnam? But anyway, so Ho Chi Minh City is the biggest and most modern city in Vietnam. And so every Christmas and New Year, it is beautifully decorated. So in addition to basking in the splendor of overstreet light decorations, tourists can enjoy many interesting activities. And so they have one thing there that kind of surprised me. A Notre Dame Cathedral is located in downtown Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Nguyen Hue Street is the center of the most magnificent of Saigon. So in Christmas and in the New Year, the street is splendidly decorated. Saigon Chinatown is a Christmas street with brilliant lights and decorations, and it's memorable for the Christmas season, of course. And then during Christmas and New Year, the market area is bustling and splendid. Cruising, look, you can cruise on the Saigon River during Christmas and New Year as well. So Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, thank you guys. And a huge thank you to you for listening and joining in the show. I'm so excited to have you guys on the show. And thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. And, I can't say it enough, and I know it probably sounds like BS, right? Probably whatever. She's thankful, whatever. But I truly am thankful to have everybody listening in. So, let's get on to the ho, ho, ho holiday headlines. All right. So now it's time for some, not only Christmas movie news, but some just Christmas news, right? So the first things first, is I went to the Enchant event. And Hallmark's Enchant is an event where, in various cities throughout the country, just a limited number of cities, I think it's 5 or 6 maybe a year, they host the Hallmark Enchant event, which is just a huge, brilliant light display throughout in one of the sports parks, right? in Washington, it is the national park. So there's no baseball, of course, at this time of the year. And so they use the park for Enchant. And I can't even tell you how beautiful and fantastic this is. Well, I love lights. And so anywhere there's going to be lights, I'm going to go see lights. And it did not disappoint. Last year was my first year going. This year was our second. The experience, to me, that I had bought VIP tickets the last time, and I was like, this is the VIP experience. I almost didn't buy VIP tickets this year, but I said I'm going to try it one more year, and then if it's a kind of a dud spud, I'm not going to pay spring for all that extra money for those VIP tickets. But I did buy them, and this year there was an actual VIP experience, and it was, to me, it was well worth the whole price. So basically, with the VIP, they have a room, like a building, a eatery kind of set off for all the VIP people. Like, you go in, they give you a bag of goodies, and in our bag of goodies, we got like Enchant medals, and then we got these, what do you call those? S'mores. You got the s'mores kit, but it's a individual kit, right? So it's like one marshmallow and then like graham crackers and chocolate, enough to make one s'more, and then you got a coupon for a free drink. That's alcoholic or non-alcoholic, which I was kind of impressed with, because normally when you get a free drink, it's normally non-alcoholic, but you could get either one. And I got the spiked cider, and my son got the Sprite. So that was wonderful. And then, like, they have an area where you just sit down and you could kind of look over the park, and you can eat, have a snack or whatever, and do whatever you want to. You got bands so that you could ice skate, and you could go see Santa Claus without standing in line. So that was kind of awesome. Now, we didn't do either one, but we did do the light maze. And they have this thing where you get a card when you first go in, and basically they say you have to save Christmas by finding these medals throughout the displays. And so that's what we did. So, but it's kind of great because it kind of gives you something to do, and it also helps you work your way through and make sure you go see all the major displays in the maze. So I gotta tell you, I loved it. We had a ball this year. Last year, I know we were there for probably 3 hours. This year is probably like an hour and a half. So we cut it in half because we kind of knew what the routine was. We enjoyed it. We took pictures. I'm going to post pictures at #ChicksOnChristmasFlicks so you guys can see the whole display. So all I have to say is, if a holiday, if Hallmark Enchant comes to your town, go. It's so worth it. Even if you just go once and you don't buy the VIP experience, right? Just go and enjoy, because it's a lot less expensive that way. Just go and enjoy. You'll love it, especially if you love Christmas lights. The light displays, when you'll see them when you look at #ChicksOnChristmasFlicks, you'll just be like, wow, those light displays are phenomenal. Like, I don't know who puts all that stuff together. I can't imagine. I know it must take forever. All right, so then the next part of the ho 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 holiday headline is, so I caught this article that said, why are there so many Christmas movies out this year? Now, let me preface this by saying, there are actually fewer, I think, Christmas movies out this year than there have been in previous years, especially during, like, the shutdown, right? So past the shutdown, right, then it seems like there have been fewer and fewer Christmas movies each year. So I want to say at the height of the shutdown, there was maybe like 140, 150 movies. And so this year, we're down to 116, but actually before all this happened, like, like 2014, 2015, right? We were getting maybe 50, 60, 70, 80 movies a year up until 2020. So there was a huge explosion. And I always wondered, like, what, why? Like, why are all these streamers, why is everybody getting in the game, right? Well, this article kind of explained it. So basically, what it said is that the reason why people have so many streamers, like including like QVC, right? And I did watch the QVC movie, but basically there are multiple reasons for Christmas movies. One, it's all romance and it's all very heartfelt, and it is predictable, right? So you want movies that make you feel good, that make you feel happy, and you may feel a little angst, but it is positive angst because you know that at the end of it, that it's going to be good, right? So you may feel a little, anxious, is probably what I should say. You may feel a little anxious in the middle of the movie, but at the end, it's going to be happily ever after. So whatever anxiousness you feel, it like goes away at the end, and it's a positive anxiousness. It's not a negative anxiousness, right? So you gotta love that. That is one of the reasons why it's just comfort, right? It's like comfort food, like chili and soup and cornbread. It's stuff that you go to whenever you just want to feel good, because times are crazy. People are stressed, people are sad, people are grieving, people are going through so much. There's wars on the other side of the room, the other side of the world, and people track those, and I know that it makes people upset, anxious, depending on who you are, where you come from. You have different feelings about it for different reasons. But there's just so much going on in the world. Politically, it's just insane. So we want the comfort films. We want the comfort movies, right? That's one reason for the Christmas movies. But, Segun Oduwalu. But they're from the Boston Globe. Host of the Boston Globe today. Says that Christmas movies are a money-making machine. They're cheap to produce, a couple $1 million over 3 weeks, and you can run them ad nauseum. And that is so true. Like, let's look at like Max, right? A lot of movie streamers and stuff, they didn't even have to put out new movies this year. They had content from like last year, because once something gets on your radar and you really like it, it becomes something that you watch every year. Like Christmas classics on Hallmark, we watch them every year, and they will make money. You make them once, you spend that $3 million. 10 years ago, we're still watching the movies faithfully multiple times a year. 9 Lives of Christmas, think about that. That came out, I recorded it back in 2014. Think about how many times I've watched that movie since 2014, right? That's been out 9 years. I faithfully watch that movie every time I see it come on, including yesterday it came on. Haha, yeah, I watched it. It came on last night at 8 o'clock. So when you think of movies like that, where you watch it over and over every year, and it's going to have a viewership, they're making money off of stuff they record, they filmed years and years ago. So I can imagine that if you build like a staple of Christmas movies and you can run those like every season, and they make money for you, that you're going to do it. It's almost insane not to, right? I think everybody's gotten into that money model. Now, as a movie viewer, I like to see, this is just my comfort zone, and this is part of my experience of how I experience the season. So I want to see them for different movies, but yeah, I can see that they are money-making machines for these streamers and these networks, right? So, yeah, I thought that was one really, really interesting. That, yeah, there's sentimental value to that, but it's also money. They don't do it because they don't get any. Um, it's not an investment, right? It is an investment for them, for networks and streamers when they develop all these movies. So last year, 116. Think about that. I mean, that's still a lot. And it was higher, even still, maybe a couple of years ago. It's like 140, 150 movies, and then before that, like I said, we were at 60, 70, 80 movies a year between Lifetime and Hallmark. That's just two stations, right? Two networks, and there's just been a run on Christmas movies. Now we kind of understand the finances behind it. So it's really interesting. I thought that was interesting, and I would share that with you. Okay. The next piece on ho 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 holiday headlines is this. So I thought this was really kind of funny. Paul Campbell did an article recently about jokes that he couldn't make on a Hallmark Christmas movie, and I had to share that because I thought it was kind of cute. So, jokes that he could not make on a Hallmark Christmas movie. Okay, so the 44-year-old actor and co-writer of the 2022 Hallmark Christmas Hallmark Channel hit Three Wise Men and a Baby, he discussed this character taking anxiety medication on camera, which I saw that too, and I was like, wow, that's kind of something you really wouldn't have seen before. And he said to see him actually take the pills means you have to acknowledge that this disorder is a real thing. If he doesn't take the pills, you can kind of go, oh, I don't know, he's got some stuff going on. Hallmark said, yeah, absolutely, we'd like to see that. Let me tell you something, that's huge in a Hallmark movie. Like, to actually see things we don't usually see, to allow that to come to the screen, and so that we could actually see things that we didn't usually see. So that's pretty major. So where they are making steps forward, there are still some steps they have not taken yet. So Paul goes on to say, that said, there are still some restrictions. I can't write sucks. I can't write jerk. I can say those here. Which is pretty fun and opens some doors. He added he either uses stinks or goes older with his word choices like rats or jeepers. That's funny. He said, I wrote a joke about marrying a cat in a recent script, he revealed. There was a joke where my character went, marriage is different for everybody. Love is different. I love my cat, but I wouldn't marry my cat. And then another character goes, yeah, because of the legal red tape. Now, I think that's funny, actually. He says, but Hallmark told me, you can't tell a joke about the only reason he's not marrying his cat is because he legally can't marry his cat. They walked that one back. That was a good joke, though. Yes, Paul, it was a great joke. I think that was funny. Anyway, so I wanted to share that, so with all the progress that that Hallmark is making in so many areas, including diversity, that there are things that you still cannot do or are not welcomed with open arms in Hallmark movies. So I thought that was cute. Very, very cute. Anyway, so then my last piece of news for today is going to be a piece I saw on NPR. It's called What Makes a Christmas Movie a Classic. I always talk about Christmas movie classics on Hallmark, right? And I always talk about how, especially this year, Hallmark drama really played a lot of the Hallmark classics, what I would consider to be classics, right? And so I was like, well, what really does make a classic, because there's a lot of movies that I would consider classics, and then there are movies that I would kind of consider new classics, that they're more newly made, but they're classic in that they're going to be ones that I watch for years to come, and that there are feature movies that are classics that I watch all the time, like It's a Wonderful Life, for example, right? So, but anyway, they didn't really distinguish between TV Christmas movies and feature movies, which I think you really need to make that distinction, because it is a different thing. It's a different audience. It's a different purpose. Like, you're trying to bring people in the first weekend, and sell a bunch of tickets, and so it's a different thing when people are just subscribing to your network, and you're not just, but people are subscribing to your network, and you're turning on the TV, and you don't have to leave your house, and so you're, and then you're competing against like 100 other shows on a TV, versus you made it an intention to get out of your house and go to a movie theater and sit and watch a movie. So there's kind of, there's different mechanics behind TV Christmas movies versus features, right? But I did really like how they talked about classics, right? When they talked about classics, they talked about what makes a Christmas movie a classic. The first thing they said was that there's generational divides between what's classic and what is not, and that classic movies, they're very suited to individual tastes, right? And I would agree with that. I would agree with that even with TV Christmas movies. I think it's very generational. I think what would appeal to my mom, as the Christmas crazy mom, if she were here, it's different from what would appeal to me. And I can almost see some of the older movies appealing more to her than maybe some of the more contemporary current movies, right? But there are a few elements, I think, that are critical to whether it's a feature or non-feature. One is there's got to be a little comedy in them, right? And this is what they discussed on NPR, that there's got to be a little bit of comedy, right? And I would agree with that. For me, it's got to be heavily comedy. If I'm going to watch it more than once, it's got to be a heavily comedy movie. Heavily comedy, right? It's got to be a lot of rom-com, romance and comedy. And then there's got to be a twinge of sadness, at least a little twinge of sadness. In almost every Hallmark movies, there is that element. There's always that backstory where, the mother died, the father died, the mother left, the father left, or whatever. There's always that kind of backstory with the layers that make up that character, and that those layers usually involve something sad, right? Even if it's a romantic comedy. So there's always got to be that twinge of sadness, and I would say that's true no matter what, whether it's TV movie, whether it's a feature, that's got to be in there, right? And then there's just how much Christmas is actually in the movie, right? And there's the great debates about movies like Die Hard. Like, is it really a Christmas movie, or is it just a movie that just happened to be set at the time at Christmas time? To me, it's a Christmas movie, but everybody can debate that. While You Were Sleeping, is it really a Christmas movie, or is it a movie that just happened to be taking place during a Christmas time? And to me, that's a Christmas movie. It's a movie I watch every Christmas without fail. If I watch it primarily during the Christmas time, for me, that's not for everybody, but for me, it's a Christmas movie, period. So then they went through kind of a list of movies that they consider to be, Christmas classics, right? And I agreed for most of them, right? It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, come on, that's about as classic as you can get for It's a Wonderful Life. Made 1946. I thought it was an interesting story about that. That basically, It's a Wonderful Life kind of died on the vine. Like, it wasn't a big hit. Died on the vine. And then in the 1970s, it became public domain, and people used it. They pulled it from the public domain to kind of fill up TV space, TV time on their schedules, and that is how It's a Wonderful Life regained popularity. So it wasn't like a smash hit when it finally came out. I was actually pretty surprised to hear that. And then A Christmas Story, of course, a classic. To me, that's a classic. Peter Billingsley. Elf, I love Elf. For me, Polar Express is a classic. Now, it was so funny. I have friends on Facebook, and one of my Facebook friends posted that they hate, not just like mildly or whatever, but they hate Polar Express. And I was like, how can you hate Polar Express? Like, I have issues with that. You can't hate Polar Express. You can just like Polar Express. But I mean, who can hate it? Why would you hate it? I don't know. Anyway. But, there are people, can you believe, there are movies out there that people just really don't like. Like, there are people that don't like It's a Wonderful Life for multiple reasons. I actually I love and own It's a Wonderful Life, right? I own Polar Express. I own Home Alone, another one. That has been there's been a lot of debate around Home Alone today because people don't understand, Gen X, not Gen X, Gen Z and the millennials don't really understand the concept around the latchkey kid and how that could actually happen. And I, as a Gen X and a former latchkey kid, I did not understand why there was the debate. I was like, yeah, this happens. This could happen. Because when I was growing up, we were latchkey kids. It's, whatever. Anyway, so there is a big debate. Then other classics include Scrooged, Die Hard, While You Were Sleeping. They talked about The Muppet Christmas Carol. And then they talked about the lack of diversity, because if you think about all these movies, and then you have to kind of acknowledge there's a lack of diversity in these movies that are considered classics. And so then what are the black classics or the people of color classics or whatever? For me, that's This Christmas, right? The movie called This Christmas. To me, that is a new classic, right? I think it was made in 2007, but it is, to me, phenomenal. It's like one of those feel-good Christmas movies that you can watch over and over and over and over and over again and never get sick of it. So, anyway, I just thought that was worth a look-see at what makes a Christmas movie classic for you, and what are your classic Christmas movies. If you post, if you can or have the feeling or want to or are moved to do so, you can post your Christmas classics on Twitter and then tag me at hashtag Chicks on Christmas Flicks so that I can check them out and I'll even read them on the next show. Anyway, so now it's time for recaps and reviews. So I'm gonna hit a few recaps and reviews, try to make this fast, and then we'll take a quick break and go to hot or not chick picks, and then the Christmas turkeys, which I think you're gonna find rather amusing. All right, so recaps and reviews. The first thing on my list is Sealed with a List with Katie Finley and Evan Roderick. Okay, so the premise behind this is basically Katie's character. She's not living her best life. She's not really living up to her fullest potential, right? She's in a job rut. She wants to design high fashion. Instead, she's designing T-shirts for swag, right? For corporate swag. She's made a promise to her bestie, who's left her to go to Sicily, that she would create a list of life changes and then accomplish them. So a year passes and she didn't keep the promises to herself. Her bestie calls and says, "Hey, guess what? I'm coming back from Sicily and I want to talk about all these changes that you made." Well, she hadn't made any changes, right? So at this point, it's like December 1st and she's got like 31 days to make all these changes, right? So on the other hand, there's the guy, right? So he's the guy who is the opposite of her, right? He kind of lives his life to the fullest. No responsibility. Doesn't take anything seriously. Doesn't do his job, at least not well, right? And he's made a mistake, that she and he end up working at his father's company, and he ends up making a mistake that should have cost him his job, but she saves him by, sacrificing her job. But, kind of the exchange between them is she will help him kind of survive at work, at the job that he shouldn't have, but he does have because she quit to sacrifice her job. And on the other hand, she's got all these things that she needs to accomplish within 31 days before her friend gets home, so that her bestie, she can tell her bestie about all these life changes that she's made in her life to better her life. So they basically have 31 days to accomplish both, right? To make him a better employee, person, son at this job, and to make her change her life from this, not living up to her fullest potential to living up to her fullest potential. Now, I gotta say, this is one of my favorites this year. 100% one of my favorites this year. Not only was the acting stellar, like the acting is stellar, the dialogue is stellar, the writing to me is stellar, right? And I could poke holes in any movie, but honestly, I didn't even want to poke holes in this one. I just wanted to enjoy it and love it, and which I did. So for me, Sealed with a List is definitely gonna be, I feel like as of right now, it's certainly in my top 15 movies for the year. I loved it that much. I loved it so much. I watched it today before I did the show. It came on this afternoon. It is on my DVR, and I saved it on my DVR to watch it initially, but I'm leaving it on my DVR so that I can watch it repeatedly. That's how much I liked it. So this is definitely in the 4.5 realm for me. Loved Sealed with the List. I love the acting. I'm probably biased because I really love Katie Finley. I love her as an actress, no matter what. Evan Roderick was kind of new because I'm used to seeing her with Wyatt, right? The Wyatt guy, I can't remember his last name. I'm used to seeing her in movies with Wyatt, and what's funny is the character this is the actor, the lead actor is Evan Roderick, but they named his character Wyatt in the movie. So I thought that was kind of funny because, hey, they know that her match is normally that Wyatt guy, but this guy was great. I loved him. I don't know if I've seen him in something like, he didn't leave an impression on me before the way he left an impression on me in this movie. So Sealed with the List, definitely, I feel like as of right now, is in my top 15 movies for the year. Definitely like that one a lot. All right, the next movie is Round and Round. I was really excited about this movie. Round and Round is basically like a Groundhog Day for Hanukkah, right? For the 7th day of Hanukkah, to be exact. But the main character, Rachel, is basically stuck in a time loop. And she's reliving the night of her parents' Hanukkah party, right? Now, the guy, Zach, right? He's the nice boy that grandma's trying to set her up with. But The question is whether together they can make it to tomorrow. And if they make it to tomorrow, will he actually remember that he, all the time that they spent together, and all the looping that they did together, and all the things and activities that pulled them together during the looping, right? I actually enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would, and more than I intended to. I really expected a lot more been there, done that, because it was, they even so much as called out Groundhog Day during the movie, right? So I was really expecting kind of a Groundhog Day do-over, but it wasn't. They actually found a way to add kind of a new and unique twist to the ending that definitely separated it from Groundhog Day for me. I went along for the whole ride. Yes, like I said, there are things anybody can do to poke holes in a movie, but in terms of me, I like to just sit down and enjoy the movie. Do I enjoy the movie? Do I enjoy the characters? Do I enjoy the story? And if I'm poking holes, that means I don't enjoy it, right? I didn't want to poke holes in this one. So for me, Round and Round was definitely in the 4.0 to 4.2 realm. I don't know that it's going to hit my top 15. It may end up, when I go back to look at it, it may hit my top 15, but it was definitely one of the better movies of this Christmas season for sure, right? All right. The next movie is The Holiday Proposal Plan. And this one starred Tatiana Ali from Fresh Prince, Ashley, and Jesse Cove. So the premise of this is basically sparks fly when a former couple teams up to get their best friends engaged. Sunny, who is Tatiana's character, is a journalist for a travel magazine. She's basically bribed into using her Christmas vacation to develop this Christmas article, right? By chance, her best friend, her BFF, is freaking out because she wants her boyfriend to propose, but he hasn't. So Sunny decides, okay, I'm gonna help you with this, right? We're gonna go visit this beautiful cabin, which her parents own, Sunny's parents own, and then we're just gonna set the environment for your boyfriend, right? We're gonna do all this stuff that's gonna make your boyfriend think and constantly think about and eventually act on his feelings of it and getting engaged, right? Finally proposing and popping the question. But what happens is that the boyfriend comes along, but the boyfriend, his best friend, is Sunny's ex-boyfriend, right? And he would be like the best man, right? So if you have the maid of honor coming, well, you're gonna have the best man coming. So it ends up that they, along with a few of their other friends, end up at this cabin, kind of stuck together and trying to get their friends engaged, which explains the title, The Holiday Proposal Plan, right? They set up this whole plan to get their best friends engaged. What I thought was kind of neat is that they kind of decided to do to celebrate like these Christmas traditions from around the world, like 12 traditions from around the world. And through these events that was basically supposed to spark Christmas joy and help them help celebrate different traditions from around the world, like Women's Christmas in Ireland, and the almond, the Christmas almond and the porridge or whatever. I think that's a Swedish tradition or a Norwegian tradition, one of the two. But anyway, so they celebrate all these things, like I said, trying to spark the joy of Christmas and to get the boyfriend to propose. So, actually, I really enjoyed this one. What I really enjoyed about it was kind of like edutainment, right? Because it was entertaining to be sure, but I loved learning about the traditions from around the world. So I would actually recommend people watch this just for learning the Christmas traditions around the world. I really like that part. Uh, for me, I would say I would give this 3.5 to 4 Christmas trees. Um, so it's not something that I'll watch again and again and again, but I'll definitely watch it again for sure. Like you know, I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch it one more time before the season ends, and then maybe one time during each season when I see it on. I think it's safe to say that. All right, and the next one is Merry Christmas Magic, Merry Magic Christmas with Patricia Isaac and Andrew Dunbar. So Patricia Isaac has played in a bunch of rom-coms, right? On I think between Up TV, between Lifetime, and then Hallmark. Now on Hallmark is where I know her best from. My favorite role from her is Harvest Moon. She was Jesse Schramm's best friend. That was a Hallmark movie. But she was also the BFF and the employee on So You Said Yes with Kelly Martin, if you guys remember that one. And then she was on Santa Boots, which is a Lifetime Christmas movie. So all those roles are the ones I remember her from, and all of those are really good roles that were my favorite. So, but this was my first time seeing her in a lead role. For this movie, I would probably give it about 3 Christmas trees, and it's so something I definitely watched once all the way through, right? But I don't know. I can't say whether it was the act. It wasn't the acting. Like, I think the acting was really good. It might have been the story. It might have been part of the writing. Anyway, the premise of this is, as Christmas nears, a financial advisor starts seeing the recurring number 624. She's told it's an angel number that will make her Christmas wish come true, right? She has to wish on it. But she won't make a wish because she doesn't really believe, right? She doesn't believe in the angel number. She doesn't believe in the magic of Christmas, all of that stuff. But that doesn't stop the number from popping up everywhere. So she ends up serving as a financial advisor to the guy, right? The guy who owns this community theater. And as she tries to help him save his business, he resists her help because he's attached to stuff, right? He's attached to things and tradition, and she wants his business to make money, and he's attached to the tradition of it, right? So they're kind of come from opposing angles, but they aren't really fast friends, but it's kind of a relationship that evolves. So it's definitely one of those that you'll have to watch. But like I said, the angel number, the concept of it, I really loved, right? That this angel number pops up all the time, and this angel number is supposed to tell her who it is that is her soulmate, right? And so it's interesting to see how the story evolves to that. Is it one of those movies that you're going to watch over and over and over again? I'm not sure. For me, it was not that movie. It is definitely one that I will watch one. I may watch it again, but I'm not going to seek it out to watch again. So that's why I give it kind of 3 Christmas trees. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break, but I'll be right back with recaps and reviews, hot or not chick picks. Stay tuned. So much more to come.
Now available for pre-order. Are you looking for the perfect romantic comedy to help you find your calling and renew your faith in Christmas magic this holiday season? Look no further than The Nick Before Christmas, a heartwarming story about one woman's journey to her second act and back to her first love. Nikki Wright is ready to celebrate the big 5-0 for Christmas in July, but a hot flash leads her to a sobering realization. Her life has hit rock bottom. Her successes, the home and the car, feel empty. Her vision board has been a waste of time, her job is unfulfilling, and she's mulling over a proposal from Smith, who she's certain she doesn't like. The best day of her life spirals into the worst. During a near-death experience, a meeting with her guardian angel presents Nikki with an ultimatum. Either go to heaven or return to Earth and find her second act by Christmas Eve. If she doesn't succeed, her future's bleak. Her life will be filled with days no better than the worst. With only a few months to make her dreams come true, can Nikki achieve her second act and rekindle an old flame with Jordan to have the Christmas of her dreams? The Nick Before Christmas delivers unforgettable moments of self-discovery and romance. It's an enchanting story of love, hope, and faith that will fill your heart with joy this Christmas season.
And we're back. In the previous segment, I gave you the recaps and reviews for all these wonderful movies. Merry Magic Christmas, The Holiday Proposal Plan, Round and Round, and Sealed with a List. Next up is the Hot or Not Chick Picks, and my Secret Santa, and my Christmas turkeys of the week. Not just one, but 2 turkeys of the week, for reasons which I gotta believe you're gonna agree with me on. Anyway, all right, so first up is the Hot or Not Chick Picks. So in this one, it's just kind of a quick round robin of my chick picks, and I may tell you more about the movie and I may not, but I will definitely tell you how much I liked it and whether you should go out and try to find it, and whether you will probably like it or not if you have taste like mine. All right, so the first one on my Hot or Not Chick Picks is A Christmas Intern. This was a Lifetime movie, and it starred Jackée Harry and Vivica Fox. Now, when I tell you Jackée Harry and Vivica Fox, you're going to think, yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a good movie. And if it were just Jackée Harry and Vivica Fox, I would say, yes, it was thrilling. But I have to say, like, one of the actresses was a little off-putting for me, and so I just didn't get the joy out of the movie that I probably would have. To me, I think the lead actress was probably just a newbie. You know, I think it was just the factor of being new to acting, and that I could tell. Right? There's a lot of people who are new to acting and I can't tell. And when I can't tell, it doesn't matter to me. But when you're new and it impacts, and I can see that you're new, and then it impacts how I enjoy the movie, then it's something that impacts me, and so I'll call it out. So what I will call this is, because Jackée and Vivica, to me, they probably really saved what could have been a really bad movie, right? But it was actually good. It just wasn't great. So I would say this is not hot, but a hot-ish, right? Versus warm, lukewarm, or cold, or not, right? So I definitely say this is hot-ish. And I would go into it with looking for Jackée and Vivica Fox. But basically, Jackée is kind of a plays a retired executive that goes to intern for her daughter's company, right? So I think it's definitely like kind of a unique way to tell the story, right? And like, she played Jackée to the hill. So for me, like, it was very nostalgic. I love Jackée. So I liked it for that reason. So if you want to watch it, that's to see her go back and kind of play that, to play that intern, and into the later life romance kind of element was introduced here. And then there was another romance, the romance with a younger couple that was also in here. Like I said, one, certainly you can watch one time. Others may disagree with me, but for me, it was a one time watch. It was, if I see it come on, I may not change the channel type of thing, but I'm probably not going to seek it out to look for it again. All right. So that was it. A Christmas Intern, hot-ish. The next one is Heaven Down Here. This was a Hallmark Movies and Mysteries movie with Crystal Joy Brown, who, if you remember her, she was the mayor on One Royal Holiday. I don't know if people know that she's a Broadway star, right? She's been in Hamilton, which is one of my favorites in Hair. And the last one that she was a lead on, the last Christmas movie that I know that she was a lead in, was Riding Around the Christmas Tree, which was a Lifetime movie, which I really enjoyed. So Heaven Down Here, oh my gosh, hot. This was so good. In one sense, it kind of reminded me of what's that, Holiday Road, where you have strangers that kind of come together on Christmas and they have an impact on each other's lives. In this one, you have like four strangers that come together, very different backgrounds that come together, and each is kind of the answer to another's Christmas wish, right? And so it is just very heartwarming. I love this. I loved the ties that tied I love the impact that the characters had on the other characters that made them, not made them, but that influenced them to handle business in their lives, to kind of tie up the loose ends in their lives, to reestablish relationships maybe that they hadn't needed to restore. So I don't know. For me, this was definitely up there. Probably one of my favorite movies this year. Very much a not a Carla movie, in that it was not a rom-comish movie. It was definitely more drama than rom-com, for sure. So, and to me, it was a heartstring puller, not necessarily a tearjerker, although it had its moments. But it was definitely emotional. Like, it was emotionally gripping. And so, definitely a hot, definitely a recommend. Definitely one of my favorite movies this year. Might land on my top 15. It was that good. Okay. The next one is Christmas at the Amish Bakery. This was an Up TV movie. Up TV. So I would say this one was hot-ish, right? It wasn't hot, wasn't cold, wasn't lukewarm. It wasn't not, but it was hot-ish. And I will say that I went into it not thinking I was gonna like it, and then I ended up liking it more than I thought I was gonna like it. It was a little different premise because it was centered around the Amish culture and way of life, and I don't know very much about it. So for me, seeing how this story would kind of play out, it was very interesting. So what you had is like this sister who she was born into the Amish culture, but she kind of broke away from it. But she ended up coming back to visit. And what she ended up realizing is that, you could take the girl out of the Amish culture, but you can't take the Amish culture out of the girl, kind of the thing, right? And that there are things about that culture that she really did love, and that were a part of her, and that were what any culture could love, right? not just Amish culture. So I liked it for that reason. Then there was a guy, right? Somebody who came from the world, who went to this culture, who gravitated toward this culture because of, the slowing down and the kind of traditional way of life and things like that. So So he gravitated toward that, and then she was of that life, and she moved away from it. So you could see how there's kind of this opposites thing happened that is pulling, and this culture is the thing that pulls them together. But of course, there's a good story in that. It's about this, creating this Amish bakery book, and she works for a publisher that wants to make it this book, and this woman has to go back into her culture and basically exploit it for the book purposes. At least that's the idea at first, but things change, and I won't, me, I don't do spoilers and everything like that, but I will say that is worth one watch for sure, about, if nothing else, to understand more about the Amish culture, and to see how this, the romance plays out. I think it's very good. Definitely very family friendly. Love the movie. Very sweet. I shouldn't say love the movie. I liked it. And so like I said, I would say this is hot-ish, but not like hot. It's not something I'm going to watch over and over and over again for sure. But it was definitely good to watch it that one time to understand, to see the story and how they wrote the story around this culture. That I liked. All right. The next one is To All a Good Night. And I would say this is hot. Definitely hot. Definitely one of my favorite movies of the Christmas season from Hallmark. To me, I would consider it a star-studded cast, in that quite a bit of the cast, I don't want to say most, but quite a bit of the cast came from the 9 Lives of Christmas. So it stars Kimberly Sustad and Mark Ganime, and I would go so far as to say that it was an ensemble cast, because I loved the cast. Like I said, they pulled a lot of it from the 9 Lives of Christmas, from the best friend to the old lady who came in with the dog, and Kimberly recommended that the dog get a little doggy outfit. I mean, like there were so many people from that. I was like, oh, they pulled the whole cast together. So it was really nice to kind of see them. And I don't know that we really saw them in the 9 Kittens of Christmas, right, which was the follow-up to the 9 Lives of Christmas, but we did see a lot of them in this. And then let me tell you, the chemistry between Kimberly Sustad and Mark Ganime was off the chains. Like, Mark Ganime has the most beautiful eyes I've seen, on a person, how he has kind of dark features, but then he has these brilliant blue eyes. I think they're blue or green, I don't know, but just brilliant. They look like they could see through you. And how she's going through this movie and not going gaga every time she sees him, I don't know how that happens, but okay, fine. So anyway, definitely super hot for me. I love that movie. I will watch it again. I think it's on my DVR, and I think it's going to stay there for a while. I think I'm going to watch it at least 1 or 2 more times before I decide whether I'm going to keep it or delete it. But I definitely want to see it again. I've only seen it once so far, but I think that's because I know I have it on my DVR and I can come back to it. So anyway, To All a Good Night, highly recommend. Definitely a hot. Loved it. Yes, there were some, stories, some things that of course I would change. There's probably some things about every movie I've ever watched that I would say, oh, if you just did this or you just did that. But on the whole, I loved it, enjoyed it, and will watch it again and again. I loved it. Okay, so the next one is The Christmas Detective. That was on OWN, and I'm going to give that a hot-ish. That is, it's a largely African-American cast on this OWN movie, and it was a really good Christmas mystery. So I definitely will recommend that. I don't want to give, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I definitely don't want to give too much away because it's a Christmas mystery. You just don't know what is going to give it away for some people, right? but I would definitely recommend. The Christmas Detective is on demand, which is where I'm gonna go watch a few of the own Christmas movies before the season is out, before I go back to work next Tuesday. Okay, and then the last movie on my hot or not chick picks is a Miracle in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So this one I will give a hot, kind of hot-ish to me. It was really, it was a movie obviously centered around the nativity, right? It was kind of a modern day telling of the nativity story. But to me, it felt very on the nose, almost too on the nose. Like, I would almost rather you not have main characters named Mary and Joseph. Like, it was that on the nose. Like, if you called them Julie and whatever, like I would still know that this was that story, but it's not like you were like writing around the nativity story, right? It's just like you were writing another story, or writing a story, and it just happened to have these elements, rather than you're kind of intentionally writing around the nativity story, which we know how that goes, and we know how holy that story is, right? So I don't know. To me, it just felt too on the nose about things that happen in Jesus Christ's birth and everything. To me, they could have just gone the other way. They could have had the Miracle in Bethlehem, but they had a child. It was a girl, right? So they didn't do the boy child, which was okay. But to me, they could have not used the same character names. They didn't have to have the barn. You know what I mean? You could have had a Miracle in Bethlehem without it being a nativity story. So anyway, so for that reason, to me, but the acting was good. I love Ben Ayers. He's one of my favorites. And for the most part, like I said, I liked it. It was a little too on the nose for me. So I would give that a hot-ish, hot to hot-ish. It was good. Will I watch it multiple times? I've seen it come on multiple times, and I've not made any effort to go back and watch that second time. So for me, that was a one watch, and maybe I'll catch it. Maybe I'll get in the mood to watch it another time. But so far, nah, not really. Okay, so yeah, that's where I am on that. So that is it for the How to Not Chick Picks. Next up is my Secret Santa, my hidden gem. Now, my hidden gem is called The Holiday Shift, and it is a free holiday series, rom-com series on Roku. I tried to think of a series that it reminds me of, but every series that it reminds me of is a musical, like Glee or good. I want to say it was kind of like The Office, kind of, peripherally like The Office, right? But it takes place in a mall, in a shopping mall around the Christmas time. And there's a lot of kind of rapid fire humor and comedy, but it doesn't have the music of the musicals like Glee. But that's what it just reminded me of. It didn't crack me up laughing, but it was definitely enjoyable, and there were parts of it that were funny. And I got to tell you, once I watched the first 2 episodes, I was in for all 5. Like, I needed to know how it ended, and there was not a guarantee of how it ended, which was good. You could kind of see it going either way. But anyway, so I definitely recommend that. It's free. It's on Roku. It's called The Holiday Shift, and it's a 5-episode series. And like I said, if you watch the first 2, you're going to watch all 5. But watching all five is about the length of is about the length of a Christmas movie, right? It's about 2.5 hours, about 20 something minutes each episode. So it kind of equals out to one movie. And so you can watch it back to back to back to back and finish it in one sitting. So that the holiday shift, I definitely recommend. If you like the rapid fire, funny humor, I think it was a kind of a younger humor for me. If you're a millennial or a generation, if you're a Gen Z, you're gonna love this. Like I feel like I might have been just I've hit that age where I might just be a little too old for it, but I enjoyed it still. I enjoy still a lot of millennial and Gen Z stuff. So it didn't crack me up like, folded over laughing, but I certainly got a few sniggles out of it. So that was good. All right. So that's my secret Santa, my hidden gem, the holiday shift on Roku. All right. Now it is time for my Christmas turkeys of the week. Okay. So the first one, the first turkey of the week, my Christmas turkey of the week is Dial S for Santa. It was on Up TV. Now, the premise of this is basically an insurance investigator goes home and involves herself in a hometown mystery that she works with a kind of local cop sheriff. You know how that goes, right? That you have the professional who is the local shop, and then you have this other person who thinks themselves like a real professional, and they kind of have a knack for mysteries. Kind of like the Murder, She Wrote. She kind of has a knack for mysteries, but it's really not her job to be a cop or investigator. Kind of the same thing here, right? There have been some break-ins in the town, and the question, of course, was who done it, right? Who did all these break-ins? So here's the thing. I went in this movie, I suspended all disbelief. I went in and my whole purpose in life was just to enjoy the movie, sit down and enjoy it for whatever it was, right? And if I enjoyed it for what it was, great. I enjoyed it for what it was. And if I didn't enjoy it for what it was, then I was darn well gonna have a good reason for not liking it, right? You know how, like in horror movies, when the murderer kind of starts chasing the victim, and usually it's a woman at this point, and the woman falls, and you're like, really? Why did you just fall? Why did you just fall out of? There's nothing on the freaking ground except ground, and you fell. Like, how could you do that? Something so ridiculous. And of course, the person ends up getting caught, and murdered, right? So, well, there was no murderer in this movie, but there was this moment when you're just like, really? Did you just do that? I mean, why? Why did you just do that? Honestly, this is one I wish I could do a watch party for, because if you saw the scene that I'm talking about, you would groan like the groaniest groan that ever groaned. It was so bad. So listen, I liked this movie. Like, I didn't love it, but I definitely liked it, and I was in for the ride all the way up until the last 15 minutes. And then that one scene kind of sunk the entire movie for me. It honestly did. I don't do spoilers, but I feel like I need to do it so you'll understand, but I'm not going to do it. If anybody wants the spoiler on it, let me know on Twitter, and I will post a post about it, but I will not put it on this podcast, okay? But suffice it to say that the last 15 minutes are well earned. Dial S for Santa, the Christmas turkey of the week. And it's so well earned. Like, it's probably more well earned than any Christmas turkey that I have done this season. Okay. The next one, the next turkey of the week is from Hallmark. These are rare from Hallmark, and the reasons for this one I think will be obvious as I explain. The Secret Gift of Christmas. It starred Megan Ory, who was from Chesapeake Shores. If you know her, she was a star of Chesapeake Shores. And then Christopher Russell from Merry Matrimony, which is one of those kind of Christmas classic movies that they don't really show anymore. I think I've seen it one time on Hallmark Drama this year. But so how did The Secret Gift of Christmas land on my Christmas Turkey of the Week? Why? How? Because honestly, this movie is so much like a gift-wrapped Christmas that it is not even funny. It seems like they diverged in a couple of areas intentionally to try and make it a little different, but it's not. Like, there's times when there's movies that are similar, and you could tell, like, I'll give you an example. Ghost of Christmas Always and Spirited, right? So Spirited is on Apple Plus. Ghost of Christmas Always is one of my Hallmark favorites actually now. Like it's a new favorite, and it's a new classic for me. Like every time it comes on, I watch it. And it's so similar to Spirited, which is also a Christmas classic to me and a favorite. One is a musical, one is not, right? But the premises is very similar. As the first scenes are almost identical. Almost. And so I see these two movies, they're very similar, but I know they weren't intentionally similar. They just happened to hit on similar themes and have similar ideas. I don't think one copied the other because they both came out in the same season, right? They came out in the same season within a week of each other, I think, right? So, there was no copying. There was none of that, right? This one feels copied. Like, it feels very copied. It may not be copied. It may be very different. It may have been written in a different time and space than A Gift Wrapped Christmas on Lifetime, but it feels very copied. It feels like almost the same movie, and that they diverged intentionally and diverged in a couple of areas to make it different from that one, but not enough. Not nearly enough. It feels like it was trying to be the same. And that is why this landed at Christmas Turkey where Spirited and A Ghost of Christmas Always did not. They ended up being my favorite movies of that year because they were just so good. Both of them so good for various reasons. So if you're gonna here's my other thing. Like, if you're gonna remake a movie, and a gift wrapped Christmas from Lifetime was a really likable movie, like a likable, dare I say, lovable movie, right? So if you're really gonna redo a movie like that, it should be better. It should be better. If it was trying to be better, if it was trying to be deeper, for me, it just did not succeed in that, right? A Gift Wrapped Christmas is a better movie, period. And as I think about it, I think A Gift Wrapped Christmas actually made one of my top 10 favorite movies for Lifetime, right? So that's what landed it on my Turkey of the Week list. It's not a bad movie, right? But it is just so similar to A Gift Wrapped Christmas that it felt copied. And it just didn't feel original enough for me. So that is why it landed on my Christmas Turkey of the Week list. All right. Well, okay, guys, that is going to do it for me today. Can you believe it? I mean, this was a long episode. I'm sorry in advance. Stay tuned for episode 13 and then episode 14. So what's coming up on episode 13 next week? I am going to review all the movies on demand. Not all, but many of the movies that I wanted to see during the season that are on demand or that are on streaming that I did not get to see. So those include Just Like a Christmas Movie on Paramount Plus, a World Record Christmas that was actually just on a little while, but I still haven't had a chance to watch it. That's on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. Mom's Christmas Boyfriend. I started watching it and fell asleep. I'm going to finish watching it. It's on Lifetime. Christmas as Usual on Netflix. The Christmas of Yes on OWN, and A Christmas Serenade on OWN. And then Rescuing Christmas with Rachel Lee Cook and Sam Page. And A Favorite Son on BET Plus. BET Plus had several new movies that I did not get a chance to watch, so I'm going to try and watch them over the next few days. And Ice Palace Dance, that stars Celeste Desjardins and Marcus Rosner. Marcus Rosner's been in a lot. He's been in Flipping for Christmas, and then he's in this one. And then he's going to be in Hallmark's first movie of the new year, which is that golfing movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. I like him and Ashley Newbrough as a pairing. I like them together. And then there's a movie called A Catfish Christmas and a few others out there that I have not seen. So in the next episode, which should come out next Monday-ish, I'll be covering those. Keep an eye out. I'm still going to try and hit my daily top 3 on Twitter and Instagram. I know I've been kind of on and off about that, but honestly, I have been recovering. Not vacationing, but recovering. I was truly exhausted, more exhausted than I ever thought. But I do feel a whole lot better now. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you to my music and show editor, Will B. He created all the custom music for the show. He's at Wildcard Music, and you can find his IG page in the show notes. Until next time, remember, at Chicks on Christmas Flicks, we can never have too many Christmas movies. We can only have not enough Christmas movies. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review on your favorite platform, and tell your Christmas movie-loving friends about this show. Where can you find us? I'm so happy you asked. Podcast platforms, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. Check out the link in the show notes. Also, follow us on Twitter and IG at Chicks on Christmas Flicks with all X's. Thank you for listening in, and I'll see you next week.